Welcome, everyone, to episode 5 of the What Sales and Marketing Got to Do with It podcast. My name is Gemma Adair, founder and principal marketing consultant of Riata Consultancy. This podcast aims to delve deep into the minds of sales and marketing industry leaders, uncovering what keeps them up at night, what drives their passion, and how they execute successful strategies in both their personal and professional lives. I am delighted to welcome Rachel McManus, Digital Marketing Assistant at Proximo 3. Proximo 3 are experts in Microsoft Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. Great to have you, Rachel, today.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So please introduce who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. So I have been with Proximo 3 for just over a year and a half. This is my first experience in the marketing world. So I am currently working towards an apprenticeship. So at the end of 2022, I gained my first kind of qualification in it. So that was level 6. And then this year I am working towards my level 8 and hopefully many more qualifications in coming years.
Perfect. No, that's interesting. Was there any reason why you chose this route? Was it a case of you wanted both the study and the hands-on sort of in
Yeah.
a role?
So I kind of I guess throughout school, I was always very studious, and I guess in a way, like I was kind of the typical person who would end up going to uni. And I kind of got to my last year of school and I thought, I don't really know what I want to do. Um, but everyone around me was kind of applying to university. So I thought, oh, I'll go and do that. Like it'll be good fun. I'll meet new people. So I actually attended Strathclyde University and I did psychology, which is something that I've always been really interested in, kind of like how the mind works, everything like that. And after a few months, I just thought this is not, just not really for me. I don't enjoy like full-time studying. And I wanted something where I could get a qualification a wee bit quicker, but also have that work experience at the same time. And marketing is always something that I'd always had an interest in, but I'd never had the kind of like opportunity to explore it. So I thought maybe I would try an apprenticeship. So it took maybe a month or so of looking, and a company got in contact with me who provide apprenticeships in IT and kind of like digital aspects to young people. So they found me the role at Proximo 3 and yeah, been here ever since.
Amazing, amazing. And outside of Proximo 3, did you have any experience with marketing, events, or any digital sort of experience at all?
No, it was very limited. Obviously, we have kind of like a business studies, which I got a higher qualification in, but that was as far as, and that didn't really touch so much on the digital side. That was more kind of like running a business, different types of businesses. So that was really the only kind of insight I'd had into it.
Awesome, awesome. And what's it like going into a sort of into the tech world as a digital marketing assistant? What was your experience initially? Well, one, coming into the workplace, going into a role, a marketing role. And the third thing would be within the tech sort of world of things.
Yeah, I think going into any role with kind of like no background knowledge is very daunting. So I think it did take me a while to kind of um, set up processes that worked for me, and use the learning that I was doing in my apprenticeship to aid like my work experience. And I think going into working in digital marketing in the tech industry, everybody knows what they're talking about. So I feel like there was maybe not pressure from other people, but I think I put the pressure on myself in that way of like, I really want to get this right, like I want to do good. So I think it was a slightly daunting experience, but it was like very exciting as well because this was like my first experience of doing something that I actually really enjoyed and being able to do it full time as well.
Brilliant, brilliant. And if you look back, you said you've been with Proximo 3 now for quite some time. If you look back on when you started with them to where you are currently right now, on the 8th of August, 2023, what does that look like?
Yeah, I think like just a massive change. When I went in, I kind of worked with the team at Proximo 3 for a few months, and then we brought yourself in, and I learned so much about just different techniques, processes, industry experience, everything like that. And you left so many processes in place that I can now continue to follow. So yeah, I think just having I'm very much like a methodical learner. I like to have something that I can watch and follow every time and kind of learn from that. So yeah, it's just been a crazy change since when I first started.
That's brilliant. No, it's definitely great to hear. And would you say, like, just your confidence in the role, has grown since you first started with, the kind of mentoring, the kind of support from the team at Proximo 3, and being able to kind of study and also actually do the role at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. I think I can be a wee bit critical of myself at times, but I definitely do feel more confident than when I started, and just having that, no, actually, like I do know this, I know what I'm doing. I've got my coursework that I can look back on as well. And yeah, I've always got the support from everyone at Proximo 3 to kind of help me along the way.
That's amazing. And I think as a sort of apprentice, I think that's quite critical, right? To
Yeah,
have that
definitely.
support in place so you can ask questions, regardless of how silly they may sound to you, but it's all very relevant to your learning, right?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
and I think if I could say that you probably have to give yourself a little bit of credit, because you've had to kind of get your head around marketing, plus also being in tech and the technology and the processes
Yeah.
and the whole kind of Microsoft ecosystem, and learning, trying to get your head around that. So that's,
Yeah, definitely. It's been kind of two things at once, but I think they've gone really well together. Um,
exactly.
so
And
yeah, definitely.
even the most experienced tries to kind of
Yeah,
learn so much and get their experience around Microsoft and so on, and tech, and it's constantly evolving, and so is marketing as well,
yeah,
constantly
definitely.
evolving. So what does a day in the life of Rachel look like? Take me through what a day looks like for you.
Yeah, sure. So I am fully remote, so I work at home. So my day will usually start. I like to normally go out for a run in the morning. Just because if not, I'm literally just going from one room in my house to another. So I just like to get outside for a bit. Um, and then I usually start work about 8:30. We usually have kind of a check-in call in the mornings with the team just to see what we're all working on and discuss anything that we need for the day. And then usually after that, I will do a bit of coursework. So I get given modules which I have to research and put in kind of like my own work experience into that. So I usually do that first thing in the morning when I've got the most concentration to kind of sit and type up answers and things like that. So I get that done. And then it really just depends. I usually depends what we're working on. If we've got events, it'll be things for events. If we've got new campaigns, it'll be working on the social media and the website for those. So yeah, it's quite varied.
Which is great, right? And I
Yeah,
think
definitely.
that's why you love what you do. And I think it's great because marketing gives you that. One minute you could be doing a social media post, and then the next you could
Yeah,
be putting email comms together for a separate campaign perhaps that you're sort of doing. You mentioned events there. You went to Scottish Summit recently.
I did, yes.
in Manchester of all cities.
Yeah.
It wasn't in Scotland this year. It was in Manchester. What was that like?
Oh, it was great. It was definitely a fully packed day. There was lots of sessions on. There was marketing sessions from industry experts, which is just so good to learn from, pick up information, working on the same systems that I am. So that kind of like knowledge and just being able to listen to someone is like really invaluable. So it makes it so worth going down to events and learning all that information, meeting people in the industry, and yeah, just a great day overall.
Oh, that's amazing. And I think the being around the community is great as well because you get to meet so many people and network
Yeah, definitely.
and that whole kind of energy, right, of being at Scottish Summit and events in general, community events in general. So that's awesome. You just touched upon a few of the things that you do in your day to day. Um,
Yeah.
is there a part of what you do that you like best? And then the second question to you would be, is there a part of you that to which you like the least?
um, I think I quite enjoy the creative side of it. So in terms of designing like tiles for social media posts, I enjoy doing that. I spend a lot of time on Canva, creating tiles, or kind of like short videos, things like that. And I actually really enjoy website management as well. So updating websites, um, checking SEO, all that kind of things, just making sure all the text is up to date. Um, One thing that I'm not so keen on, probably because I don't know enough about how to use them effectively, is spreadsheets. I'm just not a spreadsheet person at all. And I know when we worked together, we spent some time going through them. And I think if I knew more about them, I would enjoy them a lot more. So that's kind of one of my aims. I want to have a look at spreadsheets,
Brilliant.
learn how to use them a wee bit more effectively, and thankfully we don't have to use them too often. But when we do, I'd like to learn how to use them a bit better.
And that I think you've just touched upon a nugget there, right? Because I think it's once you're confident in using an application or, following a certain process or something like that, the more confident you are with it, I think it may not, it will change from least to actually, I like doing this.
Yeah, definitely. Once you know how to use something well, it's a lot more enjoyable.
Exactly, exactly. And you can kind of really explore the additional uses that it can brings to your
Yeah.
role and the company that you're working for. Um, it's interesting, right? Because people have different misconceptions about marketing. Um, from your experience or maybe just conversations that people have, what do you think, given that you've experienced marketing for the time you have, what misconceptions do you think people have about marketing, would you say?
Yeah, so I think obviously my generation is sees a lot of like influencers nowadays, social media influencers and social media managers who sit on TikTok a lot of the day, sit on socials, just having a scroll. I think that's one of the main like misconceptions. Everyone's like, oh, well, you've just spent all day on social media. Like, how hard can it be? But it's actually what you're looking for on social media, what you're doing on it. Like, it's not just like a pastime. So I think that's probably one of the main misconceptions. Definitely of people in like kind of like my age group, definitely.
Gotcha. And is there do you have like a favorite social media platform that you currently use right now, or maybe one that you
Um,
what's your thoughts on Twitter with the X?
well, it's been a wee bit of a nightmare because so we use Microsoft Dynamics 365 marketing to schedule all of our social media, and it's now not compatible with X. at the moment until I think it's trying to be sorted out. So all my posts keep failing, which is really great. So I'm having to do all that manually at the moment. Um, but yeah, in general, I think it was a wee bit unnecessary. I don't really think it's going to benefit them in any way. But the memes from other companies on it have been enjoyable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
The flow of content which comes off the back of a launch or something
yeah,
like the
definitely.
X. Yeah, watch this space. You never know, right? With the X. Um,
Yes,
you've just mentioned there about sort of marketing, the tools, that kind of thing. What skills, again, because you've experienced marketing, what skills do you think are needed to work in marketing? And that could be perhaps soft skills, so communication, being able to plan effectively, efficiently. And on the tech side, just kind of, being able to kind of learn about different tech and different tools and apps and all the rest of it. What's your thoughts and skills?
I think one that you said there about kind of like communication, I think that's quite a key one. I think a lot of the times it's trying to in marketing, you're trying to maybe bring somebody else's idea to life through um, social media or like different types of campaigns. So I think it's really understanding what someone is looking for when they ask you for something. And in that also comes a lot of patience in redoing things or just trying to really get something right in with how somebody else envisioned it in the first place. So I think those are really important skills. And in terms of tech, I think like there's always going to be new things to kind of learn. So I think it's just having that um ability or want to continue learning and kind of doing that by yourself, whether that's through like textbooks or I really like YouTube. I like something a wee bit more visual, so watching somebody else do something and learning from that, I think that's really important as well, as with any tech pro.
Yeah, and I think to your point as well, it's with the whole kind of, people being more visual, it's kind of working to the audience that
Yeah,
you're either creating that piece of marketing for, or that you're targeting, what material you're targeting them with, and in what kind of
yeah,
formats. Is it a video, short form? Is it something longer sort of content, that kind of thing? So it's really trying to kind of just have a play around with different types of formats, and so on and so forth, which is great, right? Um, I'm a firm believer of sort of sales and marketing alignment and
yeah,
things like that. Again, from you working in marketing, kind of understanding sales a bit more. What do you what is your take on kind of aligning sort of marketing and sales and the kind of collaboration on that?
yeah. So I think whilst they are, I guess, separate departments, they overlap so much.
Mm.
So there's certain things that are just for marketing or just for sales, but there's so many things like when you're working on a campaign and you're getting leads out of it, like who does that fall to, sales or marketing? Because really it's a wee bit of both. Um, to then nurture leads through the marketing campaign for the salespeople. So yeah, I would definitely agree that they're very intertwined.
Yeah, definitely agree. And I think in some organizations it's better than others, and it's just there's such a it's different in various different scenarios
Yeah,
and industries and so on. But it's about getting there. It's about coming together, collaborating, and getting to that point where you're aligned in what you do. For someone that's looking to get into marketing, and you've touched upon a lot of different great things there, your experiences, what would you say to them if someone approached you, wanted to get into marketing, they had an interest? What would you say to them?
oh, um I think I would definitely lead with um, their kind of creative side. I think I read about someone previously who worked in marketing, and she was applying for new roles, and she used a portfolio instead of a CV. And I think kind of like playing to your strength, like that's something that people will look for in marketers. So yeah, I think definitely playing on the creative side a bit more, being something a bit different, because that's what people are going to look for from you in that job role anyway. So I think being able to prove that would be a really good strength to have.
Nice, nice. And for someone that's sort of a younger person that's new to marketing, would you perhaps recommend or mention that, being an apprentice would be a great option for them to kind of explore, both from a you know, on the job sort of training aspect of things?
Yeah, definitely. I think an apprenticeship in any industry is obviously some job roles you do need to go to uni for. But I think where you can get an apprenticeship, you're cutting out so many years of just study. You can get your study and your work experience at the same time, and your work experience aids the study, and the study aids the work experience. So they kind of go hand in hand. And I think when you do get your qualification or you finish the course that you're doing, you come off of it with so much more knowledge than you would have just doing studying or just doing work experience. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer in that it's a really good route to go down, especially when if you get to the stage where you finish an apprenticeship and you're looking for new roles, having employers being able to see, oh, you've actually already you've got your qualification and you've got 3 years experience doing this and that. Like I just think that's invaluable.
And I definitely agree with you. And I think there's some hidden gems in there from, working as an apprentice, within a company. There's you talk about we talked about, working with the team,
Yeah,
being in a position where you're working with leaders, working with professionals, that have years of experience, in the industry, and it's all of what you can learn from them, right?
yeah,
It's like gold dust.
you get your kind of knowledge on the job role that you're in, but then you also get the knowledge of, how to behave in your role, how to communicate with others, like key life skills that potentially studying wouldn't give to you. So I think that that's really good as well.
Awesome. No, that's brilliant. I think yeah, there's a great mix of what you can learn, definitely, from being an apprentice. You've been to some events
Yes.
in your time. And I always ask this question in terms of marketing swag, freebies, that kind of
Yes.
thing. There's two questions really. So
Okay.
what piece of swag have you ordered that you thought, actually, this is a really cool thing to give away? And then the second question would be, you've attended an event, and what swag have you picked up and thought, this is a real cool piece of sort of marketing collateral giveaway?
Yeah, so in terms of swag that we've created, Proximo 3 is kind of known for having merch, always having things at the ready to give away. So we've done everything. We've done keychains, takeaway cups, water bottles. Um, we've done t-shirts. I kind of prefer things that are a bit more practical. So when I go to events, I always like to pick up if people have got portable chargers. I love takeaway coffee cups. I have a whole stack of them. Um, so I think those are probably the best things, just because you can use them. They're not going to just, oh, that's nice, and then it never gets used again. So yeah, I prefer definitely practical merch.
Awesome, awesome. And I think it's it kind of showcases the companies that provide them as well. Like they're fun, they're professional, and but they're fun, and they're great to kind of work with them because they kind of put the mix of fun element into their kind of relationships that they have with you,
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
which is great. Um, I think you talked about your collection of marketing sort of swag or freebies. I think it's only going to get worse.
Yeah,
The more events you go to, for sure. You mentioned Strathclyde University. Um,
yes,
people will pick up that you have an accent. Um,
yes.
whereabouts in the world are you based?
So I live just outside of Edinburgh, in Scotland, about half an hour outside, in the sunny and warm countryside, which is not very sunny or warm. So yeah, I've always lived here, and so yeah, I'm from Scotland.
Scotland, lovely. And have you ventured to other parts of Scotland?
Yeah, so when I was at uni, I lived in Glasgow for a while, which I really enjoyed. I have family in the Outer Hebrides, so we go across there quite a lot. So yeah, all over really.
Nice. And if someone was to, take a quick break or maybe a longer break to Scotland, what
Yes.
what would you recommend?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like every city kind of offers something different. I think if you're going to Edinburgh, you've obviously got to do Edinburgh Castle. We have the Fringe Festival on at the moment, which has loads of street performers, so that's always really good as well. But it is very busy.
Nice, nice. Oh, it's a place that I definitely want to go and see. I think I've been to Edinburgh once, but that was for work,
Hmm.
but definitely a place. And I'd recommend it to people to go and see because I've heard
Yes.
so much about it.
Yeah, as long as you bring an
Um,
umbrella, you'll be fine.
it's a bit like Ireland in that.
Yeah, very unpredictable.
And actually most of the UK,
Yeah, yeah,
most
at
of
the
the,
moment.
the the rest of the UK for sure. Um, work-life balance, we talked about Scotland, we talked about breaks away, things like that. You mentioned running earlier, actually. I wanted to ask you a question on that. Do
Yeah.
you partake in any sort of competitions or any sort of 5Ks, 10Ks, anything like that?
I don't at the moment. I used to do I don't know, like like park runs.
Yeah.
I used to do those with my mum actually on Saturday mornings. But my goal at the moment is I really, really want to train for a marathon.
Ah,
So that will probably be next year. Not sure how it's going to go at the moment.
yeah.
Um, but I did a half marathon a couple of years ago, so I'm just trying to get back to that first and then go from there. But yeah, that's the goal of this year.
Perfect. And do you think mum will come along with you to do?
No, she said she'll just watch. She says she's not quite at that, which is fair enough. But yeah, she comes running with me at the moment, and we go out with the dogs and yeah. But the marathon's a long way off at the moment.
Ah, awesome. You mentioned you've got dogs there. What dogs are they and what's their names?
Yeah, so I've got two cockapoos. So we've got Macy and Max, and Macy is 4, and about a year ago she had a litter of pups, and Max is one of her pups. Um, so yeah, it's a bit crazy. Max is just kind of coming out of his puppy stage. But yeah, lovely, good fun.
Oh, nice. And who named them? The two M's.
Yeah, so my mum and dad, they named Macy, she's like the family dog. And then we kind of wanted to stick with the M, so we went for Max as well.
Oh,
We did
brilliant.
we had a cat called Molly, so it was a lot of M's going on.
A lot of M's in the household. Oh, that
Yeah,
must have been
definitely.
fun. That must
Yeah,
have been
got
fun.
them mixed up all the time.
Oh, wow. So you mentioned like the running, you mentioned the pets there now. Is there anything else that you like to do in your spare time outside of work?
I think those are the main things. I used to do a lot of baking, and I really want to get back into that. During kind of lockdown, I did a lot of that prior to that. So yeah, just trying to find the time to do it though. But yeah, I would love to get back into that. It's
What
just trying to give the cakes like to everyone. You make it all, and then you can't get through it.
I think the Proximo 3 will probably, you probably shouldn't have said that, because the team will
Yeah, I
probably be one.
know.
They'd be like, right, special delivery to our houses.
Yeah, definitely.
Rachel's awesome cakes. Was it cakes that you baked? Was it pies? What was it? Sweets,
Yeah, I did like people's birthday cakes in the family. I always have memories of making like banana loaf with my gran, so I think that's kind of where it came from.
Nice.
So yeah, just anything really, definitely sweet things though.
Awesome. No, that's great. Um, you mentioned before as well, like mom and dad. Do they know what you do or have an understanding about what you do in your current role?
I think they do now. I think kind of at the beginning they weren't too sure. They obviously knew um from a marketing sense, but I think from coming from the digital side of it with social media and everything. But I think they understand now what I do, and it's kind of not that different to any other tech role, just with a wee bit of social media added in.
Oh, nice, nice. And do they ask questions, or do you kind of tell them about your day and stuff like that? And
Yeah, definitely. My mum works from home part time, and so does my dad. So we have coffee in the morning together about 10 o'clock, and just have a wee catch up, have go out on a walk at lunch or something like that. So yeah.
oh, that's brilliant. I have to say, like when people talk about, work-life balance, it seems you have a nice balance between exercise, work, spending time with your mom and dad and the family and the dogs and stuff like that. Any tips on, when people talk about work-life balance, what tips would you give?
Um, I mean, I think when you work from home, it is slightly harder, because obviously when you're driving into an office, you have that's a different space, which is more, which can be related to work, and home can be related to home life. So I think when you work from home, it does kind of blur the lines a wee bit. But I think it's just like I just try and when it gets to a certain time of the day, like 4, half 4, I try to think, right, let's just put it down, it can wait for tomorrow, get outside and do something. I think living in the country as well, we're used to kind of like driving everywhere. So we'll be like, oh, like we'll go out and do this, or go out and get a coffee, and
Yeah.
just kind of shutting everything down and calling it a day. I think that's really important, not because before you know it, it can get to 7, 8 o'clock at night, and it's like, oh, I'm still here. And you don't
Still
don't
at the
even
computer.
realize. Yeah. So yeah, I think just trying to switch off for the day, and kind of keep those work hours.
Nice. And it's kind of like to what you're saying, as well as having those kind of measures in place, or, kind of building those kind of different things into your sort of routine, your lifestyle, going out in the car, getting a coffee, going having a walk with the dogs, that kind of thing. So kind of having that as part of your routine, your day to day.
Yeah, yeah, definitely just trying to make a routine out of it and keep it going.
Keep it going, right? Yeah, no, definitely. What did you want to be growing up?
So I always had an interest in being a doctor, or a paramedic, something like that. And I always remember during school we got taken on a hospital tour for those of us who were thinking about pursuing that career and going to uni and studying for
Oh,
it. And I just something about it. I took a bad reaction to seeing blood, and I just put me off completely. And I really wish that it didn't. But just the thought of sometimes like getting blood taken, it makes me feel queasy. And so yeah, not something that would go well with being a doctor, or a paramedic. So I had to park that one. But yeah, that's something that I would have loved to do. And I'm glad I found out at that point instead of 4 years down the line at university. So yeah.
Yeah. And what interested you, to kind of want to go, um, yeah, those professions?
I think just being able to kind of care for people. I like to work in a busy environment as well. Like I don't like to be quiet. I like to be kept busy. So I think that kind of appealed to me. And just being able to kind of make a difference. Yeah.
I think I can quite rightly say marketing's busy, or
Yeah,
sort of like it
definitely.
keeps you busy. You can definitely add value and a lot of impact.
Yeah.
Tech,
Yeah, definitely.
again, is the industry, um, there's no day that's the same. It's very different. It's constantly evolving. So again, it's quite busy, in that sense. And again, making an impact, So I think you've chosen both the role and a really good industry to be in, to kind of fit with what you've just kind of mentioned there now. So
Yeah, always kept busy, which is really
yeah,
good.
but in a different way, in a different kind of added
Yeah.
value supporting and collaborating way. So that's awesome. What is your passion in life, and what drives you?
Oh, I've always I guess liked the idea of financial freedom, being able to like go and explore the world, travel. So I think digital marketing is a really good industry for that. You can work anywhere in the world and still do the exact same job as you would sitting in an office.
Mm,
So I think that was another reason why I was kind of interested in marketing as well. It gives you that kind of like even better work-life balance of being able to still do your job, but do it from really anywhere, which I think is a really nice idea.
yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's important to kind of have that setup which enables you to kind of work and um collaborate and do all that, that sort of drives you, and that you're passionate about. I think that's quite important.
Yeah.
Is there someone that inspires you? We talk about passion, we talk about drive. Is there someone that inspires you, whether they're dead or alive?
I don't think there's necessarily someone. I think more the kind of like ideas that people hold of being able to like I've always struggled with, not always struggled, but I used to be fine when I was young, public speaking, and now I could not think of anything worse. So I think that kind of idea of like pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, I think that kind of that inspires me, and just being able to get to that stage where you look back on something, you think, oh, I actually did that, like something that you never thought you would be able to do. So I think that's more inspiring to me.
Gotcha. I hate to break it to you, but this is an example of public speaking.
Yeah. I know that I can only see one face, so it's fine.
But I think you're doing awesome. So give yourself more credit for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, if you could speak to you're still young, you're still young. If
Yes.
you if you could speak to your younger self,
Yeah.
what would you say to them?
Um, I think I would try and remind myself not to put as much pressure on myself. I think when I was younger, especially um, during the time of exams in school, I put a lot of pressure on myself that this was the be all and end all. And if I didn't do this, then, I would have nothing. And really not true. I have all my qualifications, and um, I did well in them, and maybe I will need them in the future. But I got a job in marketing. I'm doing my qualifications, and yeah, they might have helped a wee bit, but I don't think that they were the pushing point to getting the job. So yeah, I would definitely say just kind of taking the pressure off and thinking this is only a tiny part of life. So yeah, I think that would be a good thing to remind myself of.
No, it's a very valid point. And I think regardless of age or what, I think a lot of us will say the same thing. Don't be so hard on yourself, and we're constantly evolving and learning and growing. So it's all, yeah, it's very important. Where
Yeah.
do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
I'm really not sure. I get asked this quite a lot with being a bit younger and what I think I'll do in life. I definitely see myself still being involved in marketing, but I have a passion for kind of like fashion and beauty. So I would really like to be involved in that industry. I really want to do some traveling as well. So I'm not sure. I think either one of those, maybe some traveling, and then, yeah, have a look at some other industries that I can get involved in.
Oh, nice, nice. You mentioned travel there now. Is there a particular country or countries that you'd like to visit?
I feel like kind of the typical ones. I really want to go to America, Canada. I have some family in Canada, and Australia that I would really like to visit. Um, and yeah, I like doing city breaks as well, kind of across Europe, just anywhere. I'll go anywhere, I don't mind.
Oh, nice. And you mentioned fashion and beauty. Was it beauty you mentioned there?
Yeah.
Again, are there any particular brands that stand out to you or that you currently use? That's of interest that you're.
I really don't know. I think I would like the experience of working for like a big kind of multinational corporation within that space, um, whether that's fashion or beauty. I'd be quite interested to work at Gymshark. I think that's a really interesting company.
Ah,
They have a lot of kind of like incentives and work kind of processes, which I think are quite interesting. But yeah, I'm really not sure. I guess everything can change so quickly. So
yeah,
yeah, it just depends.
awesome. You could create your own.
Yeah,
You could create something
maybe.
something that, like a product or something, perhaps. Um, you know, you never know. You just never know.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's an area for you to, perhaps explore, you just never know.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Right. So what's a nice holiday look like for you? Are you a beach? Are you a pool?
Yeah, I like a pool. Um, Not a fan of sand or seawater. I'll go to the beach, but yeah, just I think that whilst like city breaks are nice, I think for kind of longer holidays I like to be by a pool. I really enjoy reading on holiday. It's something that um I don't have as much time to do at home with working and everything else in kind of everyday life. So I love just taking a load of books with me and just reading through loads and loads of books in the heat. That's just, yeah, it's nice and relaxing.
Oh, nice. And that would be my next question to you. What is there a particular genre that you like reading?
I really like kind of like mystery, so like a crime book. I think those are really interesting because you kind of like have your own thoughts about it as you're reading it, and then you can kind of like see if your guesses are right. So yeah, I really like those.
Okay, perfect. And how many books do you bring with you on holiday? Just out of
Oh,
interest.
depends how long I'm going for. I don't know. I can usually get through a book in two or 3 days, so nothing extreme. But yeah, I like to make sure I've got loads with me just in case.
Awesome, awesome. Is there any other separate to books? Is there any other things that you kind of maybe listen to, like podcasts or anything to kind of help? whether it's your learning or to kind of listen into your passions and
Yeah,
influential people, that kind of thing.
I really enjoy the Diary of a CEO podcast. I think that's really interesting. They have loads of kind of like different speakers on that. I like to listen to them when I go running because I think they're quite informative and they kind of like take my mind off. Oh, I just want to stop running now. So give me
Tired.
something else to think about. But yeah, I'm a big fan of those. I think those are really kind of like thought provoking. And it's like, oh, like how could I do that? And yeah, so I think they're really interesting.
No, I think I think you yeah. Stephen Bartlett, Diary of a CEO is I'm a fan, an avid fan of his as well. So and his podcasts, and I think they're just really influential. And I think it just kind of makes you think it can be done, right? And people have done it. So it's yeah, it's really good listening in to those. And you can listen into them any time of day, like you said, you
Yeah,
listen to them when you're running, and you know
yeah.
um and I think that's why, yeah, podcasts are great because you can listen in, do the housework even, or go on a walk or whatever it might be, or if you're traveling as well, podcasts are great to have, to listen in.
Yeah, yeah, they're always on interesting topics that you wouldn't necessarily be thinking about. So yeah, I think they're really interesting.
Awesome. Yeah, we've talked about books, we talked about podcasts. How do you, any tips on how you sort of plan your day, or is there any sort of tools you use? What advice could you give?
Yeah, so when it comes to planning my day, I like pen and paper personally.
Okay.
I have like a checklist. I like to tick things off when they're done. I feel like accomplishment from that.
Yeah.
And it helps me remember things. If I'm in a meeting, I can quickly scribble something down. Yeah, that's my kind of personal preference. I have a task board on Teams as well, which I use to update kind of my tasks with the rest of the team. But for personal use, I like a written down checklist.
Nice. Yeah, there's nothing quite like just kind of going, yes, I've done that.
Yeah, I find it very satisfying.
Move on to the next.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, awesome. So writing down, your to-dos and kind of like, yeah, kind of scratching it off. Um, no, sounds like a good, and I think a lot of people can relate to being able to write stuff down and ticking off. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
If you had, moving on now, if you had a chance to have superpowers or a superpower, what would that be? Or perhaps you'd want to be a superhero, and who would that be?
I think I would really like to be able to fly. I think that's a really cool one just to see what that would be like. I think that would be um a really kind of out of that world experience. But yeah, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I think just imagine going for a coffee with someone and going, right, where are you based? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think that would be really cool. Probably a lot quicker as well.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. Is there any other sort of um people or anything that kind of inspires you, or that you'd perhaps um look up to in that sense?
Um I don't think there's anybody um that I know. I think I see a lot of the time people posting about things like on LinkedIn, for example, kind of professional things. And I think that's a really nice way of like encouraging each other, posting about accomplishments and achievements. I really like that. I think that's quite inspiring. It's like, oh, so and so has done this, and how could I do that? Or if you like the idea of something. So yeah, I think that's quite inspiring.
Awesome, awesome. And I think you've just kind of mentioned a valid point about, people helping each other,
Yeah,
collaborating, building each other up, sharing knowledge, that kind of thing. And I think you just never know how it will help the next person. You
yeah,
just don't know.
definitely.
Just don't know the impact. I've got just a two more questions to
Yeah, yeah,
ask.
of course.
Um, if you had to ask the audience a question, what would that be?
Oh, um,
Or maybe
probably
or maybe actually, I'll ask you another question off the back of that. But yes, go for it.
okay.
If you had to ask the audience a question.
I would probably say um what they do in their role within sales and marketing. So I think the two words, they're so broad, it could be such a number of different things. I think it's really
Mm,
interesting to learn what somebody in the same role as you, but in a different company or a different industry does, and how we can kind of like learn from each other, different processes. So yeah, I think that would be really interesting to learn from others.
I like it. I like it. No, that's a very, very, very good question to ask the audience, I must say. It's very good. If you had to give, I don't know, a sales or marketing professional a bit of motivation or push, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I think I would go back to not putting so much pressure on. I think when we're pressured, like we probably don't think as well. If you're so set on getting something, your mind goes blank. So I think just taking that time out to really um have a think about it as a bigger picture, and then getting the small steps on how to get to the big picture. I think that would be good.
I'm really good at yeah. That's a really good advice to give to someone that's in sales and marketing. And I think we do tend to put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Um and I think if there was a sales and marketing person to say, no, I don't put that pressure on myself. Yeah, I'd like to know.
Yeah,
We'd like to learn more, wouldn't we?
definitely. Yeah, me too.
Perfect. Do you have any final words that you would like to share?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for having me on. It's been really nice to discuss marketing and sales and how they kind of combine. And yeah, it's been really nice just to catch up and talk about everything.
Awesome. No, I just want to say thank you so much, Rachel, for coming on to the podcast. And I think I've been very blessed to watch you grow and learn and develop and I can't wait to see what the next 5 years holds for
Yeah,
you.
no, well, I feel lucky that I've been able to, be able to learn from you and have you mentor me over the last kind of year. So yeah, it's been great and invaluable, definitely.
Yeah, no, awesome. And we will catch up
Yes,
soon
definitely.
and yes. And have a coffee and yeah, talk about how we're each getting on in our roles
Yeah,
and what we're doing and stuff. So but yeah, no, thank you very much for coming on to this podcast today.
yeah. Thank you for having me. It's been great.